Hey folks, so I'm going to look quickly at a paper I wrote several years ago. First, note that we'll be working in the same genre, an IMRAD paper, but we're doing a completely different topic. Nonetheless, we can learn something by studying samples of the genre. Okay, so this is an APA style, American Psychological Association. We can see it has a cover page right there. It also has a running head up here in the top, which would show up as the header for each page. We don't use running head on the front page anymore. We do have headers in APA style, but we no longer have the running head on this. You can ignore that. It has a nice two-part title. We're going to talk about two-part titles later on here, and you do want to work on that. And then it has the four main sections of an IMRAD paper: introduction, and I should use introduction, methods, results, and discussion. And so those are all with all headings there. So in the introduction, we do three things generally. We try to establish the broader conversation. What is it we're talking about, and who's saying what? It's a kind of review of literature. Here you synthesize information from different sources. In this paper, I don't do that because it wasn't requiring it then, but I do now. I only use one source. So I talked a lot about Nicholas Carr, an article he wrote 2006 in The Atlantic, and then I try to situate myself toward his ideas. Your paper wants to have three, four, five, six different sources to present this larger concept or larger issue that you then ask a question about. Anyway, so I do talk about the big issue. I do present key ideas from a single source, should be multiple, and then identify a real question. I actually have two. I have Trent Batson and Nicholas Carr. So I have two sources here. And Kenneth Bruffy, I've got three sources. I do ask a question at the end, and that's key. That's the third thing you do. What is your research question? If I were to do this over again, I'd give that much more space. I'd give it its own little short paragraph, two or three sentences. What is it I want to find out? Then the method section just lays out the steps I went through in answering the questions. First, second, third, fourth, fifth things I do. I only have two paragraphs here. You should have two, three, or four. Probably think about every step you go through as needing to be explained. You want your reader to know exactly what you went through. That's how you build credibility. So think in paragraphs. Then the results section. The results section is just an objective presentation of the data, of the findings that I had from my research. I'm not trying to interpret, not trying to analyze, not trying to explain, just present. So I augment that with some pictures and a pie chart here, and I do notice that I labeled each, which is nice. And those are meant to augment the argument. They're not just decorative. They're meant to make it clearer. If your images and charts and graphs aren't really helping to explain, then they shouldn't be there. Okay, so that's the results section. Just lay everything out I got there, and then we move on to the discussion section. Discussion section tries to do a few things. First, it tries to look back at the results and interpret them, explain them. What's interesting? What do you really want the reader to pay attention to? What's surprising? What's confusing? What was not answered? And why? And then you need to try to tie your results into the larger conversation. So I present all my surprising things that I found in my results, and then I try to connect it to what I did find. I mean, to what this larger conversation here. Um, Batson's hybrid literacy, Carr again. I think I've got something else, Jensen. So I've got several sources here that I'm taking my results and putting it into conversation with. What fits, what doesn't fit. Okay, so I would like to see multiple paragraphs here and multiple sources in each one if possible. Okay, and then I finish with a references page. Looks like an APA. I have a very brief acknowledgement. Overall, okay, I'll give it a solid C, maybe a B minus. I don't know. We'll see. I'm joking, sort of. Not sure. Okay. Hey, thanks, folks. Good luck. Have fun.